So, you're learning Chinese. But what, in fact, is Chinese? Where does it exist? We could ask Plato. As you probably know, Plato believed that when we call many different things by the same name, that we are seeing in them the likeness of the objective, absolute, or essential concept which the name describes. When we call something good or beautiful, then, we are thinking of absolute good or absolute beauty. He extended this idea to encompass basically everything, suggesting that there is a universal concept for every common term. He called this concept a form or idea. The theory becomes difficult, of course, when we wonder about the objective reality of the universal for dog or cabbage, but that's not our concern here. So, back to Chinese. The point is that ideal, perfect, standard, if you will, absolute Chinese does not exist, other than, perhaps, in Plato's realm of the forms. Instead, all Chinese speakers approximate this Chinese language ideal, with no individual's language being exactly the same as any others. Some, perhaps, get pretty close to the objective standard. Others, including many native speakers, speak something dramatically different. It's not inaccurate to say that everybody has their own unique language. Within linguistics, the unique language that any individual speaker uses is known as their idiolect. An extension of this idea is that second language learners of Chinese do not speak bad Chinese. Instead, they speak an interlanguage, a Chinese idiolect they have developed themselves. If you are learning Chinese, you already have a fully formed, albeit small, idiolect that, in some way, corresponds to the standard form of Chinese, but it will also be influenced by your first language, and probably some other ideas of your own. You may have noticed that the common mistakes or linguistic habits of English learners are not arbitrary or random, instead they fit a pattern. Their idiolect is non-standard, but it is consistent. Your aim, however, as a learner of Chinese, is for your interlanguage to gradually conform more closely to ideal, standard Chinese. So how do you make that happen? The best way is to expose it to real-life situations. Real-world exposure is how you will test the utility of your interlanguage. You have to explore the boundaries of its functionality. Keep, for now, what seems to work and re-evaluate what doesn't. Here, the important thing is to make mistakes. Trial and error, with an emphasis on the error. By pushing your interlanguage to breaking point, you will discover the areas that need the most work. This is a challenge, particularly for people who are shy or more introverted, but it is important because we learn more from failure than we do from success. The philosopher Karl Popper showed that knowledge grows principally by learning from mistakes. This way of thinking, of course, is essential to the way that modern science is conducted. Think about it like this. If you use a particular sentence aiming for a certain functional outcome, and that outcome is achieved, you still don't know if your sentence was any good. Maybe the person you were talking to guessed what you wanted to say, given the context. Maybe you have very communicative body language. Maybe the person just responded at random, and their response coincidentally matched your intentions. However, if you don't achieve your desired outcome, you know that something went wrong. Was it your pronunciation, vocabulary, wacky grammar? Maybe you were just speaking too quietly. So, iterate, go back to the drawing board, fix the mistake. You can never get this kind of feedback from a textbook or podcast. It can be difficult in artificial classroom settings too. It's essential, then, to get out there and expose your interlanguage to the real world. Test it until it breaks. Then, you will have really learned something.